very good game for you folks at home. The two teams are going to be seeing in this time block going to be Spek Gaming versus the Toronto Tidepods. Some great names coming out of these teams. I'm already excited to see them. For the casting talent, you have me, Sir Waltham. Got a little bit new of a fresher talent on board with me this evening, Corvic. Corvic, you want to go ahead and say hello?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Watchers Brawl 3. As Waltham said, we're doing the Spek Gaming versus Tidepods. I'm really excited to be here and happy to have the chance to cast with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these teams going to be some new talent, so really nobody knows what these teams are capable of, except maybe the teams themselves. So I'm going to be looking forward to kind of seeing how things break down, see how these teams kind of make their first introduction into the tournament, because no matter win or lose, they're going to be staying through this tournament, one just going to the losers bracket and one continuing on the main bracket. Now, that being said, as a recap for the folks at home, this is a best of 5 match. So we will be seeing any teams who can get the first to 3, or in the event of a tie, the first to overcome, going to be taking the win for this round. All ties, if there is a 2-2 tie for some reason, it will be resolved with one map on Oasis. And it's looking like the first map we're going to be starting off with tonight, or this evening rather, going to be Hanamura. Corvic, how do you feel about that?
Hanamura has always been an interesting one since you do have many different routes, and there's going to be a really big question as to how these two different teams route through this first point. Especially, there's the large sand pit in the middle that you can just gun straight through, but there's also the side paths that are less taken. I'm really excited to see how these teams utilize those paths, and like if they use anything like a May or anything to help stall out any choke, or if they're just going to run goats be goats, and we're going to have a giant brawl on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's quite a few different ways to play this. We saw a lot of May being played here yesterday. That potential to just really choke down those, chokes, as it is really has some massive potential here. I'm looking forward to seeing if these two teams are going to be comfortable enough to run it. We're about to get started into the match here, folks, but as usual, I have to do you all the favor of reminding you to vote in that Twitch MVP vote menu for the MVP player of tonight, no matter who you think it is, no matter what team. You see anybody performing particularly well in these next set of games, don't forget to drop them a vote, show their support, show the tournament your support. We'd love to see it. It looks like we are just waiting on the teams to ready up, and then we will be heading into Hanamura. Corvic, what else do you think we might be seeing as far as compositions go for Hanamura?
Hanamura has, like I said, there's the interesting strat differences with the side paths that you can take, but another big thing that comes out a lot is actually Widowmakers are really powerful on this map since there's a lot of open areas that you can abuse, just like the May is very powerful for both points, as well as there's a lot of high ground to take control of on the second point. So that we are going to be probably watching some of that going on here, where you have people usually go top right, whether they take over the bridge area when they're on second point, or if they go all the way up and take over that high ground. Huge different little things that you can do there, and those tiny differences can make or break an entire push depending on what areas you take over for your own team.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely am looking forward to seeing the versatility coming out here. Additionally, maybe if we're lucky and the teams get creative or savvy enough, we might see a sim come out. It's always a little bit nicer seeing those non-conventional picks here. But we're going to have to wait just a little bit to see what the teams are actually going to be running on this map. We have about 20 seconds before the rosters will be revealed. But as a reminder, folks, I'm not starting this map, but once we decide the winner from this map, there will be hero bans going into effect. Those will be bans for heroes that will be taken out from both sides. So from the winner and loser, a little bit different from last month. But before we get into all that, we're going to be seeing the team comps come online here in just a moment.
So far, it looks like we do have a goats coming out for the defense from it was Spek Gaming that's running that right now. So they're running just for this first point, it looks like they might be running the goats. They might swap off it afterwards. We also have an interesting strat coming out from the Tidepods so far. However, I'm not sure if they're going to keep everyone that's currently on there, but they do have the Symmetra May, which has been an interesting strat where you set up the teleporter right at the choke and go straight through to the point and then wall off behind you, so that way you don't have to worry about it. But it looks like they are dropping the Symmetra. We're going to have to wait a few more seconds to see what they finally hold here. They'll have some scouting from their Sombra coming out here as well. With the triple heals, going to keep them sustained. They are dropping the Hog though for the Rein and Diva with the Symmetra. So they, with the Sombra. So they do not have the Zarya. We do see early scout from Whale. He teleports back immediately. They are waiting to make their changes. They know they're running goats, and it's going to be goats v goats.
Yeah, Zen Goat's going to be run on both sides. A little bit of ult charge going to be coming through for the damage onto, I believe it was Whale on that Sombra, but the fight's going to break through in earnest here.
They're already going down early. They're going in really aggressively. The DMs and the bubbles being used very well from Tidepods right now. They get 2 early picks, but they get themselves in a corner, and that makes it easy, very easy, in fact, for Spek to run over them. But it's going to spell death for them as everyone's in a very small area to get whacked on. And in the end, Tidepods are going to still take out that fight. We do see ult charge advantages coming out from Tidepods because of this, so we're going to see a very interesting point 2.
Yeah, indeed. That fight was won pretty quickly, so it's curious as if they're going to really be the Tidepods are going to be really able to push that ult advantage, push that snowball potential. A lot of times on second point, Hanamura will see them kind of just go straight from first point to down the gut, right on the point with that massive ult bank in such a convincing win, but we're going to have to see how that fight breaks out here.
So we see that Tidepods are immediately going down main. The rally is popped to try and sustain on point. They know they have the advantage. They're trying to go for SXR. They are going to grab him. Cappy's also very low. He falls, and this is just falling apart for Spek Gaming, one after the other. Everyone down there is cut off from their healers. They don't have the Zen Orb. They don't have the Lucio heals. They are not going to be able to sustain. They do have the chance to come out and stall a little bit. Yeet and Voke both sitting on the point. SXR comes back with the hammer to try and boot them off. This is only a matter of time. SXR, however, falls down. He has to take the long way back up, and they are going to get the grab off as well. Beat does come out to stall it out as much as they can, but Cappy is going to fall anyway. SXR back on the point with Discord on him, half health. Heatball is also very, very low, and the bomb does go out from Faffer. He's making a last-ditch effort to try and go, but he is Baby Diva, and he's going to be destroyed as well. Zen is not able to make it back on the point in time.
Yeah, in that situation, I think we just saw what looked like a classic snowball effect there, where once the rally came out, the attacking team, Toronto Tidepods, were able to just really push onto point, keep that pressure up, and in that time they had the rally up, they were able to build up more ults. We saw the Rein ult come up, we saw the Zarya ult come up, and it really kind of helped them to even further stabilize on the point without necessarily giving up too much ult charge to Spek Gaming. So overall, I think that's kind of the fundamental snowball that you like to see in that situation. And overall, you can't say much against that attack.
Definitely, there was a lot of chaos all over the place, but in the end, a lot of the time it ended up being that Spek Gaming had 1 or 2 people caught off right at the start, or their healers were not in range to actually support their team. And when you play a GOATS comp, it's all about the go, go, go. You got to keep your momentum. And when you step back and you just lose that momentum, it enables the enemy team, especially when they're running GOATS right back at you, that they're just going to be able to run over you 10 times as fast.
Indeed, and looking forward, it's looking like still having a little bit of debate here for the defending team. Not all members coming out just yet, but I imagine we're going to be seeing more of the same when it comes to the GOATs. IQ going to be the only one we're going to be waiting on, but they'll be popping onto that Diva in short order. Diva able to get to point really quick, so I'm sure they're not going to be too concerned about that. And if things stick with consistency for Spect, they're definitely going to be on that GOATs as well, using Faffer as a little bit of a scouting, as we saw the first time around with the opposite attack.
2, 1.
Gates are opening now. Fire Strike does go out from Tidepods, but it's not going to really catch much. The Sombra goes out. The rest of the team is already out here. They know that it's probably going to be GOATs. They are keeping the Sombra, however, so they are going to have a little bit less pressure when it comes to all-out fights. SXR also chunked very fast right now. They're healing it very slowly, and he is taking the damage, so they're getting a lot of ult charge for their healers, but they might get pressed by Tidepods at any moment here. SXR gets pushed forward, and it gets cut out. DSP Matty very low, but he does get out. They do have the Brig on the side trying to whack their backline, but that's just going to mean collapse, and Tidepods goes all in, take the Brig, go big or go home, and they've gotten a lot of kills for themselves here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Spek is really kind of sure whether they want to commit once they lost that Reinhardt, or whether they wanted to pull back. A couple members retreating towards spawn, a couple members pushing forward even still. Perhaps a little bit more coordination really help this team get to the choke.
Early pick on Boker there. That's going to mean that the Tidepods do rush out. They're going to get as many picks as they can here. Fission about to drop down. Meanwhile, the rest of Tidepods in their backline, they pick SXR. Faffer about to go down as well, and that's a huge amount of ult charge. You can see at the top who's got the check marks and who doesn't right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of ults coming online for the Toronto team here. 3, in fact, as a stark comparison to nobody who currently has any ults online for Spek Gaming. Faffer might be able to build up the EMP Sombra if they're able to get in the backline, can get some damage. However, it's going to be a little bit through the fight where you might like to have that on a little bit sooner.
The rally is coming up from Tidepods. They're looking to pressure this soon. Faffer getting really close to that EMP. They are respecting the rally right now from DSP and just letting it go. They're going to probably be having to push after this, though. Faffer still looking for it. Huge shatter comes out of Yuya, though, and Trance is replied by with Volker. And they're going to get their own shatter. Beat goes down. They're going to have a massive grab. All their ults come online at the same time, and they show exactly why they're in this league. They are dishing out the damage, but SXR does go down. They don't have enough to fully take them out. EMP does go out. That's going to finish everything off. Bomb is on point from IQ, but it doesn't catch anyone, and they are going to clean up, taking first point pretty dramatically.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of investment there, so ult economy not going to look completely in favor of Spek in this situation. Whale having that Graviton going to kind of prevent the complete opening for Snowball. It's still possible, but you think that it might be something that the attacking team's now going to have to be a little bit more conscious of, a little bit more aware of, and really try to find that opening. If Faffer's able to get a nice, juicy hack onto the Zarya, then maybe things change, but we'll have to see how it plays.
Hack goes off on Yuya, but it doesn't do much when they have the Zarya bubble. Shadow goes out and does catch their backline. They're looking to snowball this. SXR already very low. Grab comes out, and that's going to be the end of him. Yeetball's also getting charged off to the side. He is down, and Fission is already anti, but he does get bubble to get rid of that. Faffer looking for another hack right now, but he's not going to catch it as the D.Va keeps spamming him out, and they are not going to be able to take this point, not with a snowball and not with those ults.
Yeah, indeed, you kind of are disappointed to see those ults be used. Whale really ensuring the fight win with that grab, but they're still going to be fighting it out right now. It's not looking like either team's going to be retreating.
SXR does come back in, which is not very good for the Spek Gaming right now. They do feed a lot more ult charge with that. That's an extra 600 health. That's more damage, and you see a lot more ults coming online for Tidepods already.
Hello there.
Yeah, indeed. It's definitely going to be looking a little bit grim for the Tidepods. We're going to see, it's going to be looking a little bit grim for Spek. Tidepods going to be having now 5 ults in their pocket, all barring the Graviton, and that's some potential that is going to be stark for the team of Spek to have to surpass.
So we see that Spek is already coming up. Shatter goes down. That gets 3. They should not dedicate anything to this anymore. SXR already very low. He gets a charge off on someone, but he's anti and already down. And at this point, Tidepods just gets to roll over them. They didn't even have to use many ults. That was 3 ults out of them. They still have 3 in the bank. And we still see that there's Grav, EMP, and Trance, as well as Shatter coming online for Spek Gaming. So we'll see how they use these in the future.
Yeah, as ult rotations kind of come through here, we're going to be seeing Spek Gaming get a little bit more ult charge. SXR going to be having that Earth Shatter come online, meaning it will be 4-3 if you're looking at it in an absolute numbers kind of value here. So the potential now kind of being reverted from what we saw from last push. Some general potential coming through
Big
here.
grab comes out, and that does hold Tidepods off of the point for the time being. EMP does come out, however, Faffer's immediately taken out. Shatter does come out, but it doesn't collect anyone. They are going to dedicate everything. Trance comes out as well. Beat is available for right after. Fission is already anti. He goes down anyway. This looks like they almost got 2 ticks, but it's not enough. There's still 6 minutes on the clock for when Tidepods has to eventually possibly defend again. This is not looking good for Spek Gaming in the slightest right now.
Yeah, Spek Gaming still having 3 minutes on that clock, but only getting 1 tick despite that massive investment of ults is something, perhaps a push you'd wish you could get back or play. Again, do it again, as the saying goes, run it again. And now looking at the ults moving forward, they're still going to be continuing to go up the gut. They haven't been looking to take the high ground too much since they got shattered. I believe it was a 3-man shatter. They kind of got punished, and with a Pavlovian response, have chosen not to take that high ground anymore.
Right now, Spek Gaming is coming in. They only have the beat and possibly the rally by the time they get through this fight. This may be a completely dry fight here. They're just going to get what they can. SXR charging, but he doesn't catch anyone, and they are going to get shattered. The entire backline down for Spek Gaming. This is going to be disastrous. They drop the beat as well as the rally. However, Fission is immediately killed. No rally available. Shatter comes down for Yuyo, but he's sparkling right there. He is not going to go down from that. They also have Vision on the high ground, healing people as need be. They grab on the point, which is not going to let them cap anything right now. And while Spek Gaming has made some decent progress in one fight, it's not going to be much when Tidepods is currently sitting on the point, preventing them from actually making any actual point progress.
Yeah, and one thing worth noting, you mentioned it when we were talking about the play, as it was happening, Vision being on that high ground, allowing them to get some massive sight lines, some great burst healing. We saw them use the nano boost, I believe it was onto Yuio, mid-fight, and now they're already back up at 81%, able to keep most of the team alive and healthy during that push, and just some great utility and positioning from that Ana that really allowed all the ults to charge rather quickly. That's what you like to see for economy.
So we're going back to 2 fights ago where we have the trans, we have the EMP available for Spek. Faffer's already in, trying to get some vision. They come through main again. SXR already preemptively antied. He's already half health. That's going to be EMP trans as well as their grab. Bomb coming down behind. It's going to collect 2, and that's going to spell the end for Spek Gaming already. Nano coming out for Tidepods, and it's just cleanup duty at this point.
Yeah, you really kind of hate to see that. Volker committing that Transcendence as well as the EMP from Faffer just to get ruined by a Zarya grab and Diva Bomb. They threw the on nano in there, but it was really the Diva Bomb that kind of ended that fight, the massive 2 kills coming in. It makes it really hard for a team to come back, especially an attacking team when the defending team has such a huge respawn advantage, as we talk about so often in this tournament.
We are seeing Faffer quickly swap over to the Diva. They've given up on the Sombra. They haven't gotten any decent information or decent EMPs enough that they can actually push this, and they're deciding to come top right this time. It's a complete change for Spek's decision, but they are going to get Shatter out from Tidepods. It's going to be blocked, so there's nothing going down quite yet. It's just a battle at the choke. You see Yeetballs has fallen down. They do not have their Lucio. Beat goes out for Tidepods, and they're rushing in. They've identified that there's only 5, and it's just going to be a slaughter fest at this point. The Graviton does go out, but it doesn't collect anything, and this means that Spek Gaming has no choice. They have Yeetballs on the point, and this is going to spell disaster. He's going to try and stall as long as he can, and you also see Faffer back on the point with the Diva, but he is getting booped off and demeched already. Baby Diva about to go down. There goes Hammond coming in from SXR, but he's not able to touch the point in time, and this is going over to Tidepods.
Yeah, overall, I think that Tidepods just showing a little bit more steady discipline there. They made their position really solidified. They fortified their stance, and they knew where they needed to hold and how to rotate around those plays. And they knew that, hey, we have a certain amount of ults here. We're not going to commit the whole enchilada. We're just going to play it, 1 and 2 as we need to. And it really paid off for them. We could see that they were able to have those ults as they needed them more and more into the fight, more and more into the later fights, to really kind of open up those opportunities for them to defend and as well as attack.
So I'm going to be very interested to see what Spek Gaming changes here. They have a ban available, as well as they can. They're going to be choosing a map from Tidepod's side here. So this could really sway what's going on. We've seen Tidepods run nothing but goats, standard goats right now. They ran the Sombra to do a check at the start, but that's all the information we have. If they can remove that, that might take off of one of Tidepod's crucial comps. So we'll have to see what Spek Gaming does here with their strategic ban that they have available.
Yeah, indeed. Overall, I don't think we have a whole lot of information to kind of glean from these teams. I always say when you play just one comp and you just show your hand on one comp, it kind of makes it hard for the other team to read you and know where the ban has to kind of come from. They don't know necessarily, are they just really good at goats, or are they playing it as a safe pick because of the map or because of any one of these things? We do know, however, Lijiang going to be the map that gets banned, so we will not be seeing it for the rest of the series here. That ban going to be, of course, coming from the Tidepods side, meaning that now Spek Gaming going to be picking the next map coming online here. And do you think they'd go with the goats friendly map or not, Corbett?
So far, Spek has definitely shown that their goats is far weaker than Tidepods, and when you got that kind of situation, you only have one choice. You have to go with something a little bit less goat-centric and try and remove some of the cruxes of goats, and that's what Spek Gaming is going to have to do to make their win condition here. Unless they have some serious vendetta against Hanamura that made it so that way they couldn't play that map quite properly, there have to be some serious changes for what they need to do here. SXR needs to stop getting pressured. They need to enable him a little bit more so he can do what he needs to do, and they need to not separate as much with what their targeting is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just looking like the team collective perhaps not looking too decisive. It seems like they understand the fundamentals of goats, but not the intricacies that can really kind of elevate it to that higher level. It looks like the team is going to be electing to go Busan, however.
That
At
is a
least for the
very
time being.
goat-centric map.
Yeah, interesting pick. Curious to see how they're going to end up playing it. May not be able to perform as optimally as they might like, since it is perhaps not the least goat-centric map for certain in this map rotation. But I think that we have some potential to see these teams turn around. It was only the first game of the series, so anything can go. We have up to 4 or 5 more games to go. But that being said, I think we're about to crack on with our hero bans now. Going to be the Tidepods choosing to prevent one hero from being banned or save one hero. And do you have any idea what that might be, Corvic?
Currently, their best bet would probably be to keep that Brig to stop Spek from being able to ban it out. If they get rid of a Zen, if they get rid of a Lucio, you can still run a very slow Goats, or at least something close to. You can run Counter Dive, which is very good on downtown. That's a very dive-centric map when you're not running Goats. So having the Brig would probably still be good. They are saving Lucio here, however, which is going to enable their Speedy Gonzalez get that engage mode for them, which is going to be very, very useful when they're running for the Mecha Base and for Sanctuary. Both of those maps are very good at rush comps, regardless of if you have the Brig or not.
Absolutely, and something that's a little bit different from this tournament, as I mentioned, than the last month's tournament, is that this month, when a hero ban goes into effect, it goes into effect for both sides. Now, it's only been a few days into the tournament, but so far what we've been seeing is teams not as quick to save that Lucio, knowing that if they get it banned for their side, their opponents will also be able to, or be prevented from running it. So there's kind of that mutually assured destruction where it's like, okay, we don't have to save the Lucio specifically. What can we save in our comp that really gives us a sharper edge over the opponents? And it's looking like Zenyatta going to be the one hero going to be banned from both sides, coming through from Spek Gaming.
So it looks like Spek Gaming identified that they had a big issue with the discords from Tidepods here when they were running Hanamura. I think they were identifying that XXR kept getting that discord, and whenever they were running over him, he just died instantly. They had no chance to heal it. Since they were running 3 very low-end healers, they didn't actually have the burst to go through with it, Brig being the highest out of the 3 there. So it looks like they're getting rid of that to try and go ahead and disable a little bit of Tidepods Goats, make it a little bit more manageable for SXR to be able to do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I certainly think that has some logic to it. There's a little bit of reason behind why they would want to choose those picks. But I think that perhaps it might not be the most relevant here. We might be seeing a lot of Sniper play, which Sniper has the high potential for insta-kills anyway. You don't necessarily need as much damage amplification when you can one-shot enemies in the first place. But who knows? I think that either team can kind of sweep this around if they do end up going a Widowmaker Ashe style, as we've seen run on this section of the map a couple times already. I'd be curious to seeing how the DPS players perform up to snuff on that.
So it looks like since we are on downtown, we are going to be seeing something other than Goats, which is going to be very interesting to see. We have Spek Gaming coming out with a dive comp running Pharah and Widowmaker. So the Widow's going to be taking over as much of that first courtyard as possible and using the Pharah and this huge skybox that they have available to try and own the skies there. Meanwhile, you have from the Tidepods, Tidepods, they are coming out with it's just a raw. Oh no, it looks like they're swapping to Goats with an Ana Goats here rather than the Zen. They're going to deny heals instead of adding a discord, and that could be just as deadly for how Spek Gaming handles this.
Yeah, Faf are going to be trying to take that high ground. A smart choice. You want to get those off heals or the off supports down as quickly as possible. You can really cripple the Goats comp that way.
So it looks like Tidepods immediately going to point, and they're trying to play in that little cubby to prevent them from getting anything. The point is unlocking in 10 seconds. That means they are not getting anything out of this, and they are just getting bombed for free. Pharah getting just aim wherever she wants in that general rectangle. Meanwhile, the rest of Spek Gaming is just waiting for when the point is about to be captured, just keep contesting it. SXR drops down. He's going to be the initial target, but he's going to get out in time. Cappy dropping down and does get a little bit chipped, but he's fine. He does have his barrage already, but it does get DM from IQ. That is going to be no barrage available. They do get Whale, but it is exchanged for Cappy. Meanwhile, the rest of Spek Gaming is lost on the point, and they are getting ran over one after the other. They don't have any real way to deal with the engage from Tidepods, and they weren't able to damage them enough in that little cubby before the point started.
Yeah, and it might be one of those situations where they just let the team get position first just to really assure the fight and then claim the point in full. But in this situation, it's not even going to seem like that's possible. Faffer getting completely run off the point with the rest of the team. And overall, not what we would have expected.
Sorry, we see Yuio pushing up into the alleyway there just a moment ago. They have so much room while the rest of Spek Gaming is trying to sit up on high ground, but they're not. That's not where the point is. They're not able to get anything there. Faffer trying to jump up, but he does get chipped down. Even though he's the Widowmaker, he's not able to do anything back. They have also from Tidepods exchanged the Zarya for the Widowmaker to give a counter Widow, so they won't be able to do as much. Cappy does go around back and take a whale that opens up Faffer to do what they want, and that's the go button for Spek Gaming. They're jumping in here as much as they can. However, the nano boost is given, and oh, huge shatter, huge anti-nade. The res is going to try and come out, but Volker is slept and taken down, and that's going to be Cappy trying to run away here from the point. Faffer also trying to get away as desperately as they can. That's it for that point again.
Yeah, there's something to really be said about the discipline on the Toronto Tidepods right now. I believe that was the second res coming out of Volker that got denied, so they really acknowledge when they need to really camp those bodies and be aware of the Mercy's positioning to kind of not allow more members to get onto the field than necessary.
We see that the Tidepods are also getting really aggro here. Vision is already jumping up on the building, trying to get some early vision and not let the Spek Gaming actually set up on that building ahead of time. Cappy is going around back though. Notice that that he's going to be looking for a flank barrage by the looks of it. He's already at 90%, but he's doesn't have it available just yet, and the point's already 89. Bomb comes out from Yeet. They're going to try and get what they can, but Yuio does block it in time. XSR on the point. He's going to try and stir them up a little bit, buy them some time. Beat goes out from Tidepods, as well as the sights from Whale, and we're going to see what comes out of this fight. The bomb is put down in response from IQ, and there's no one on the point from Spek Gaming who's able to really do this. Happy finally gets his barrage and lays it out, but he only gets one out of that. Meanwhile, you still have two tanks and Arizona on the point available here. However, they are falling low. This could be Spek Gaming taking this point, and it looks like they're going to get this.
Yeah, the turnaround coming through not not quite soon enough for Spek. You think they'd like to have gotten it, you know, without the 99 on the side of Toronto, but they're going to get it either way. That being said, you think you would have been able to see Cappy kind of leverage that aerial capability a little bit more. Obviously, when Faffer switched to Widow, that capability gets cut down with the massive hit scan sightlines that are possible, but overall, I think even in the first fight, not looking like we would have expected from this comp.
We are going into this next fight, though. SXR was getting chipped down, but he has been healed up already. Meanwhile, the Tidepods are going for a very long flank. Yuio already really low, and he is going to fall. That means this fight is probably going to be lost already, unless they can do something in exchange. Whale's trying to get some shots off, but he's not going to be enough. They do take out Faffer, though, and they are going to slowly try and cut through the backline. Meanwhile, the rest of Spek Gaming has dove forward. That leaves the supports in the backline with Cappy. And IQ is barely going to get out with like 10 HP there. Incredible getaway from him. Yuio coming back. Well, they kill Cappy just in time. SXR does have Primal, though, to stall this out. Even though Nano is out on IQ, it's not going to do much for them. Beat goes out from Spek to try and last this as long as possible. They are only at 55%, and they've used every single one of their ults. And DSP Matty notices this. He pulls out the blade that he's already farmed, and he tries to finish off what they have. SXR, the only one on point, but he is about to go down, and that is 99%. They have to touch this in order to keep this point alive for Spek. Cappy going to do what he can, but he is going to be chipped out while he's going for the point.
Yeah, Whale performing really strong on this Widow. Saw them get picked down a couple of times by, I believe it was Faffer, but still looking pretty commanding on that hit scan hero. I think that those long sightlines really providing kind of a boom and further to help limit the capabilities that could come out from Cappy, as I mentioned before. Not being able to run the skies really kind of limits what Afara can do, and you want to be utilizing a hero's full kit. You want to make sure that you can get kind of the full package, the full suite as it is, and without that, it's clear to see why the disadvantages were in favor of Spek Gaming.
And that was downtown too. That's the biggest thing to note here. That was Spek's map without the goats as much as possible. And you see Tidepods already back on the goats here. They're running a triple DPS comp out of Spek, though, trying to do what they can, maybe burst down anyone that they can, but that's not going to go through. Tidepods is going to push her as hard as they can. DSP Matic getting low for a moment, but he's healed back up already. They still have the Ana goats, so they aren't going to have much in the way of heals when the nade comes out. Evol's already anti, and Vision is already going to get picked off from Tidepods. They are getting wrapped around and pushed to wherever the Tidepods want them to go. Spek Gaming not able to do anything here. They do have a little bit set up on the high ground, but they're not able to push onto the point. It's just like before, they were stuck on that little building right before the point, and just like before, that's not where the point is, and now it's just going to be cleanup crew time. However, the Spek Gaming does manage to get 2 picks out of this, out of the over-aggression from Tidepods. They might be able to take this past SXR going down, but Whale is low. They identified it, they have found him, he is antied, and it looks like he is going to go down. IQ very low in Baby Diva form, and it's just the supports left for Tidepods. However, they are holding this as best as they can. Vision on the point right now, getting healed up by the Ana, and Yuio is back, and it looks like despite those 2 picks that Spek managed to get out of Tidepods overextension there, they're still able to hold on to this point.
Yeah, ironically, it seemed like Tidepods making an overextension, and then Spek perhaps overextending, not staying on point long enough to flip it, meaning that Tidepods are still just getting free progress despite the fight, looking more and more in favor of Spek for the time being, allowing their reinforcements to come in full and really kind of take advantage of that respawn.
You see Tidepods already pushing up to this choke and holding them right here. Even though they have the Junkrat, even though they have the McCree and the Ash to try and burst them out, they're not able to do anything. They quickly wrap over to the other side, but Tidepods is moving to match them, and it's going to be a similar situation as last time where they're pushed in this corner. Bob does go onto the point, though, however, the Tidepods only have a limited amount of time that they can react to this. Anti is out as well, and they do drop the beat to survive. However, the point has been turned over. The longer Spek can hold this, the better. Vision on the point again. He's going to try and cap this back over, but it looks like finally the Spek are able to take a fight, but the rally does come out as well as the Nano, and Tidepods is not giving this up without a fight. SXR Nano trying to swing at what he can, but he's going to be stunned up and moved around. He's not going to have a chance to do anything. Baffer getting charged off to Mystical Land there, and it looks like Tidepods are back with a vengeance on this point again.
Yeah, and what we saw there was we saw Cappy and Faffer on those hit scan heroes taking the high ground, not really being with SXR there, Reinhardt, meaning that SXR was just able to easily get surrounded, get kind of swarmed by the enemy team, who had, I think, 3 or 4 people on point at that moment. And so it really kind of overpowered the main tank, disabling
Sorry. Huge Shadow Bomb comes out from the Tidepods there. IQ threw the bomb, and they did have to turn around to block it, and then a massive shatter came out from Yuio, and that's going to spell defeat on this point. They're not even going to be able to touch. Oh, Voker is managing to get a little bit of a second there. SXR coming on as well with the Hammond. He's going to get stunned up. He has his shield running, but it's not going to be much. Ball's trying to throw that tire on the point, but he's going to get murdered alongside the tire. Vision dropping beat to keep himself and SXR alive, but at this point, it's a dream. They need to keep this point if they want to try and take this map, but that looks like that's it. Baffer going AFK for half a second at the end there.
Yeah, indeed. And one thing I'm not sure if I just missed it when it happened or if it never happened up until the very end, but I don't know if we ever saw the Rip Tire come out of the Junkrat for that entire fight until the very last moment there in overtime. You think that Yeetball is going to be running that Junkrat perhaps a little bit more willing to use that Rip Tire since it is such a quick building ult against these comps.
Indeed, and it looks like regardless of what Spek Gaming is doing here, they took the GOATS map, they took this challenge, and they lost it heavily here. They weren't able to run anything into the GOATS. They didn't have any answer for it. Even on downtown, when it was showing that Tidepods wanted to swap off the GOATS, you saw as soon as Cappy had died, he swapped to the Widowmaker. As soon as the rest of them died, they started swapping off to the dive. They didn't even want to run GOATS once they realized that the enemy team wasn't for downtown. That was the one map, one section that they could have taken, and even then, they fell flat and they weren't able to take this against Tidepods.
Yeah, not quite. Spek still looking like they have a little bit of work to do here. However, I'm sure they're not going to be shaken. I'm sure they're looking to continue pressing on. If the chat is of any indicator, they don't seem to be in too poor of a spirit. They seem to be still willing to stick it through, willing to hang in there, fight for your right to play Overwatch as it is. That being said, we are just waiting for the ban phase of the maps. We're going to be seeing Horizon Lunar Colony be banned from the side of the Tidepods, meaning we will not be seeing Horizon this evening, or at least for this round here. We're still waiting on Spek Gaming to be picking the next map that will be played, however.
I do want to take a moment while we're in this pick ban phase to pay a little bit of attention to Vision on that mecha base. They were about to lose that point, and himself as well as their Ana player, I believe it was DSP Maddie who was on it, possibly. I may be mistaken on that. But the Ana player as well as Vision, they were hopping around, dodging a McCree constantly on that point, trying to keep themselves from losing it, and they were able to last it long enough for their Reinhardt Uio to come back and take the point back entirely. They didn't have any options there other than to stall it, and the Spek Gaming still wasn't able to take out 2 supports alone on the point, and that's more of a testament to Vision's ability to dodge, as well as the constant shooting from his fellow Ana player, who was keeping him topped up that entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the team for Tidepods actually calling in, kind of phoning in the map choice. It will end up being Eichenwald, a map that I think is, I think we've seen it 4 or 3 of 3 times so far in this tournament for every game that, or every match that has been played between the two. So that being said, Korvik, we saw it a little bit on Busan. We didn't see it as much or at all on Hanamura. Do you think there's a chance that Farah gets run first point here for Eichenwald?
For right now, Spek Gaming, very high chance, I would say, since they know that their GOATS is weaker. They should know at this point that their only option is to take the counters, take the Sombra, take the Pharah, take these fights that you can win as time goes on. Get these ults that are massive that you can just run through GOATS with after you get them. The EMP is huge. The Barrage is huge. You run a Rein Zarya on Eichenwald. It's pretty standard. You get the grab, so you can grab Barrage. There's all sorts of things you can do here. And they need to pull this out. They need to pull something out in order to stop the Tidepods from rolling constantly, because that's what's going on right now, is they don't have any answer to what Tidepods is doing.
Yeah, overall, I think if they let it get to third point, it's going to be massively in favor of Tidepods. Third point being so heavily favored for that GOATS composition with those tight indoor spaces and just having big burly tanks bowl their way through those small corridors. A huge boon to the team. So I think that if they don't do something to specifically prevent GOATS comps, like banning a Ryan or something amusing, admittedly, like that, which it's looking like maybe that might be the case. But Reinhardt looking like going to be banned. But in that third phase of the cart push, you typically tend to see the Zarya Ryan be favored a little bit more. But I guess now we might be seeing more of a Winston or Hammond comp coming out in that third point.
I'm very interested to see what goes on here, because this is a very open area to play dive goats on, actually, which is when you run the Hammond, the Diva, as well as the Winston, and essentially you use the Hammond to create a lot of space by running into your enemies, slamming down between your tanks and their supports, and it breaks that connection so that way the supports can't help the tanks as much, and from there the Winston and Diva just dive in on whoever they want, because the split causes confusion, and it's huge, and it's really good on Eichenwald because of this first choke. The Hammond can roll through and slam basically wherever he wants. And then it continues to be useful on the second point here. Until you get to third point, it's not as useful to have the dive characters there. But on Eichenwald, first and second, it's definitely going to show that there is something to do with that. So we'll see how this plays out from both sides.
Yeah, particularly of note in terms of the Hammond. On first point, there's that giant spiraling tower, not spiraling, but the giant tower in the middle. That gives the Hammond kind of a centralized point to lock onto, able to really just attach his grappling hook high up and get some really good vertical height or some vertical distance up into the air, kind of have it a little bit harder to see the slam before it happens, make that off-guardedness, as you mentioned, a little bit more impactful.
So another change, I don't think we said this just a moment ago, but we are swapping attacker and defenders. So the Tidepods are on defense first this time, whereas on Hanamura they were on attack first. So we're going to see how they are able to deal with this in defense first, since they've always had the opportunity to kind of test the waters by prodding at what they can and then going from there. However, they don't have an option right now. They have to be able to win these fights right out the gate.
Yeah, Toronto looking like they're going to be opting for the Pharmacy themselves.
Ooh, huge chunk on Cappy.
Yeah, forget the chunk. It's a massive kill on the Fission.
Yeah, sorry, indeed. So Cappy is trying to take the over route. He uses boot but doesn't get much from it, and they're just going to try and hover over as they can. SXR trying to push what he can as the Hammond, but they are currently very disjointed. They have Whale on the McCree here from Tidepods, which is really interesting because it's separate from everyone else that's playing. He's going to be playing with his Zenyatta constantly, and everyone else is going to be kind of wrapping around. But meanwhile, you have also from Spek, they have the Hammond, but everyone else is snipers and long-range characters, so he's not going to have any support, and there it goes. He goes down very quickly. Whale does get picked in response, though, and there is a spawn advantage here for Spek Gaming in this sense, so they can go ahead and keep pushing this, but Cappy is going to get taken out by DSP Matty here, it looks like, unless something crazy happens. They are able to barely get out, but the pick does come out on Volker from Vision. Crazy balls right there getting thrown towards Mercy's face.
Yeah, and you had mentioned it earlier, SXR not going to be able to find a whole lot of value on this Hammond as the team is quite spread out with this dive. Really, Zenyatta going to be the only reliable dive target on Vision, not having that mobility, but I think we're going to have to really see SXR focus that Zenyatta if they want to get much value out of the Hammond.
We also see a swap from Tidepods. As soon as Whale went down, he swapped to the Widowmaker now to try and play the Widow v Widow against Faffer. He was winning those before, so we'll see if he can pull it off again here. And it looks like Spek is just stuck at this choke. They don't know how to push in from here. Hammond is their only resource in order to get any pressure, but he has no support, like I said before, to even push in. They have the Mercy stuck with their Pharah, and then everyone else is snipers. There's no one to push in with him. Faffer getting dove hard, and there's nothing that they can even do. The boosters do kill him as they take Vision as well, and then as the rest of Spek falls, there's really nothing that they can do with this choke with this comp right now. They aren't playing in any sense where they can get the space that they need to operate these snipers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of situations in which a lot of these ults that they're coming online for Spek, not even really going to matter. Yeetball's going to be having that Dragon's not going to be able to hit much. All the characters are capable of just taking to the skies.
Yu-Gi-Oh does go really far in, and it looks like they were about to get him, but he has the Primal Rage, and he uses it just to kill Faffer, and then gets out for free. There is nothing going on here from Spek Gaming in the sense that they're going to be able to take this. They're refusing to change anything of how they're playing, as well as the comps, and they have everyone going in. You see Cappy just dies there. Volker about to go down the same way unless he can get out. He's already half, and there he goes down. Barrage does come out to kill SXR once again. They are using ults just to kill one at a time because Spek is coming in one at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing of note, SXR actually going to be using the minefield, but getting killed by DSP Matty before the minefield actually procs, meaning that the animation will get canceled, and the ult's going to not get refunded, going to be sent back to 0%.
No one can hide.
So we do have the walls coming out from Whale. They're going to be able to get very good shots here. And there he goes. Faffer going down with a very quick headshot as soon as those walls were out. When you have the walls, you never want to peek a Widow here. And it looks like they're going to lose Vision again. And Spek, they've swapped the Hammond off to a Winston to see what they can do. But still, they don't have any support for him. No matter what you do, he doesn't have anything. Cappy has also dropped the Pharah to go to McCree. But that's not really going to help peel for the tanks that much. Not going to offer any support there.
Yeah, the flashbang might be able to prevent a little bit of the dive. He's going to be providing that stun, however, with Yu-Gi-Oh being in this position, not really going to be able to leverage it too much. The red's going to be coming through. We'll see if that makes a difference.
IQ throwing a bomb. He's not going to get anyone, though. It was bubbled by SXR. Val comes out from Volker. Looks like they're trying for this push, but they are cut off. Whale does get the nice headshot on Volker well in Val. Trans does come out from both sides. They're not going to get anything. He tries to throw the dragon, but he gets destroyed while he's throwing it, and it's not going to catch anyone. And it looks like Spek has all but given up at this point.
Yeah, Toronto going to be having pretty much a straightforward path set for them. Going to just have to be making one tick onto the point to be claiming it, and the third point for this map, meaning that they'll be taking this this round handily. But there's always a little bit of hope for Spek. I just think they really need to tighten up. I never like saying that one team is absolutely out, but Spek's looking in dire straits here.
The biggest thing for me is that I'm looking at the way Spek has, like, they had the options to make swaps all the way along, and they haven't been playing like they have been. They've definitely, like, soured a little bit in the sense of they are not, it looks like they're not planning to win this. They're running different comps. They're not running in the same way that they were. Even if they were running these comps, at least before, they were going in together. But at this point, they've just been going in playing 1v1s, doing what they can individually, but not paying attention to where anyone else is. It's 1v5s, 1v6s all over the place.
Yeah, and that's sometimes what we see, especially when these games start to get towards the back end. The players start to get mentally fatigued. The physicality, obviously, a very huge part of Overwatch, but mentality, sometimes an even bigger part. And when you start to lose focus of that, you can start to lose track of things like ult focus, ult tracking, teamwork, team cohesion, positioning. And when you lose that kind of stuff, it's where you can start to see your team slip more and more. And then, if you get tilted, if you get salty, you start seeing those mental aspects falter even more. So it's something you have to definitely be very aware of and prevent from happening in the first place.
So we do have Spek coming out with a bunker-type comp here, double turrets. They have the Torbjorn, which is essentially Reaper with a Storm Arrow, as I like to say. They have the Bastion, and it looks like they're just going to be spamming that choke as much as possible. DSP Maddie already taking out that turret, but that's not really a shame. They're going to be able to set that up no problem again. However, the rest of Tidepods are nowhere to be seen. They have had a few people go back to swap. They're grabbing the Lucio, the Ana instead of the Mercy, and they're coming back. They're running full dive, and it looks like they're going to try and take out that Bastion in one fell swoop as you need to. However, the Hog is going to help prevent some of that. The shield does go down halfway on Cappy, but the anti goes out, and that's not going to be enough to sustain that. IQ going pretty low, but he has the DM to get out. The res does come out on Cappy. They do get that off successfully, but there's only 3 left. Cappy not even on the point here. He's trying to do what he can, but he is on Hog, and he is anti. Nothing that he can do there to sustain. And that's going to be it. Tidepods takes the match.
Yeah, and that's going to be Tidepods taking the series in this situation. But overall, I kind of liked the synergies that they attempted to go for in terms of Spek gaming. You see the Bastion, you see the Orisa, you see the Hog. Those are all heroes that can kind of synergize very well. The Bastion just getting absolutely protected by that Orisa bunker. You can see the Hog synergizing with the Orisa really well with the pull pork combo, the mini grab, as well as the hook, going to be able to displace targets very easily and then bring them into the Bastion's line of sight if necessary to allow for even more shredding of the opponent. But when you have the dive, if you're able to coordinate it really well with that Diva Matrix, with that Winston barrier, and have the focus go onto the Bastion, it can absolutely destroy that comp in quick order, which is basically what we saw.
Indeed. There was a lot of... I still got to call back to the disastrous state that Spek was in for the attack phase, where they spent a good several minutes on compositions just running in one at a time, and it's really unfortunate to see a team drop back like that. Even if you're behind, this is a best of 5, which means that reverse sweeps do happen. However, it did not happen in this case, and Spek Gaming is going to have to be relegated down to the losers bracket and maybe try and make a run back through there.
Yeah, certainly not the last we will be seeing of them, but we will be seeing them play at least one more time in the near future. If you're a fan of Spek Gaming, make sure to catch that. If you're a fan of Tidepods, also make sure to catch their game. They'll be coming up. We don't know who they'll be playing against. If you want to figure that out, catch us in about an hour. We'll be having that next game on. I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern time, or 9 p.m. Eastern time, excuse me. But with that said, as per usual, we do have one player from the victor of today's match. We're going to be having DSP Maddie, I do believe. Maddie?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, not much, my man. Congratulations on this win.
Appreciate it.
We're just going to ask you a quick couple of questions here. Nothing to, we're not going to sweat you. We're not going to grill you or anything like that. But how are you feeling after that?
Well, I know me and my team, we've put a lot of time into a lot of these maps, and we really are trying to come together with our GOATs especially, and so I'm really happy that we managed to get it going today and get ourselves a win.
Yeah, it absolutely seemed like you guys were pretty dominant on that GOATs, especially when side-by-side with Spek. Spek looking like they were trying to run perhaps something a little bit non-traditional or non-meta. Did you guys particularly have any worries when you saw that they were coming out with the Pharah and the Widow, as particularly on Busan?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever you see characters like Fire and Widow in the game, you instantly just get a little bit more scared, especially as like the Reinhardt player that can't really get towards those targets, because you just know you're going to be taking the spam damage from all these different directions. So it's really all about how you play, and I'm really proud of Jack, especially, which is IQI, for the work he did today. But he was really able to shut down the Pharah and the Widow really nicely, and I mean, not to mention our support play in general to keep our Ryan and me on Brig, for example, was really good today. So
yeah, a lot. We tended to focus a lot on how coordinated your team looked, as well as how your ults seemed to be pretty well staggered. You guys didn't seem like you were committing too many ults to one fight. Is that something your team tends to focus on, or is it just kind of something that's more innate and not necessarily a second thought even?
Truthfully, I think it's just something that comes from experience playing with the team. You know when your teammates kind of like to use their ultimates. I know, for example, that a Widow wants to use Infrasight when their Widow uses it. It's sort of that thing. I just get used to everybody's playstyle, and I feel like everyone in general just uses their ults like whenever they feel is the right time.
Absolutely, a little bit of play and counterplay. Just feel it out. That makes sense. Certainly look forward to that. I know that this was a pretty dominant looking game for your team, if I'm being a little bit honest. But was there anything you guys noticed like, this may not have been as great, we need to look at this moving forward? Or was it just kind of like, oh no, we can't really deduce anything, or there's nothing we feel insecure about?
Truthfully, I'm not sure if I want to necessarily point out all of our weaknesses, but there's one thing I do want to say about our team is I think that, especially with the comms, we could always get better. But really, that's any team, so I don't think that'll be giving away too much. But I'm excited to work on it. Yeah,
absolutely. I apologize. I didn't mean to have you put on the spot to give away your trade secrets or anything like that. Good. Once again, congratulations. Are going to be seeing you guys go up here in the next couple of days. Again, yet to determine who your opponent will be. Are you guys looking to kind of do any reconnaissance beforehand, or are you just going to kind of go into it blind, do you think?
I think we're really going to hit the scrim blocks and try and get ourselves ready for the next match. We're not really sure who we're playing yet, obviously, as you said, so we need to be ready for anything at this point.
Absolutely. Well, Maddie, I'll go ahead and let you recollect with the rest of your team, unless, Corvic, did you have any questions?
I have nothing right now, no.
All right, well, in that case, I guess I will go ahead and let you go. Celebrate, chill out, decompress, relax, all that good stuff. But Maddie, thanks again for coming in and answering a few questions for us.
No problem, guys. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a great evening and congratulations.
You as well.
And once again, with that, folks, that will be wrapping up our game here. We are now just waiting for the MVP vote to come in from our Twitch chat. Hopefully you guys have been throwing in your chats for the best players in this game. And it looks like, Maddie, I'm actually glad you're still in chat, just muted. It looks like you will have actually received the vote for the MVP chat according to Twitch. So another thing to add to your congratulatory belt. Well done, my man. But with that being said, we're going to be signing off for the time being. Catch us again in an hour. Catch some more wonderful Overwatch. We're going to be seeing some more teams go up head-to-head here in just a little bit. But for your casting entertainment, I have been Sir Waltham. You can catch me at Sir Waltham Gaming on Twitter and Sir Waltham on Twitch. And with me, Corbin.